Now we're going to go a bit into writing style. That was a bit of the form that you want to follow, and this is how you basically should write within that pyramid. You want to use active words. You only use passive tense to front load sentences if needed. So that's going back to the heading. I said you needed to front load it, put the most important words at the beginning. That is basically, that will go the same with your sentences as you was going with the F scanning. People are going to be reading basically the beginning of your sentences on your left side. So if the best way to do that is to make a passive tense, that is a bit of the exception. But in general, you should use active words. The passive thing is maybe not quite as important, but I just added that just to let you know that there is a bit of an exception to that. Of course, there's an exception to almost every rule, but I just wanted that to be clear. Humor. Use humor with care. You don't want dry writing, of course. You want your writing to be interesting. You want to keep your people entertained, but bad humor alienates your reader. Of course, that's the same with anything that you write. And articles, of course, have a different form and need to be less formal than your papers that you'd write for class or anything like that. So you are free to use a bit of humor, but you don't want to use too much. Humor, if people don't like your jokes, they might leave. People don't like puns. There's been apparently studies show that people aren't a huge fan of puns within the articles. Also, it's just going to basically add unneeded words. If you find yourself, deviating off from the main point, if you adding a lot of extra words just to make a joke, that's of course not necessary because you're just using up space that could be used for real information. Going then to vocabulary, talking about being less formal, you want to use an appropriate vocabulary. You don't want to use fancy words because you want to remember your audience. These people are not reading this because they want. These people are reading for fun. They are reading for recreational purposes. This is not a literary, piece of art. It is not for some big review somewhere. This is for information. People are just reading this for fun. If it starts getting too complicated, if your words are too intense, and people start getting confused and have to read your sentences twice, you're losing an audience. So you need to keep that in mind. You don't really want to use too much of a bigger word. If a little word would suffice. Of course, you don't need to only use words that are 4 letters or anything like that. You can use an appropriate vocabulary. Like I said, appropriate, but you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to use words that other people might not know.